Yo, what's up guys, I'm Immortal Reaper, and today I will either be coping, I will either be massively coping, or I will be having the greatest prediction of all time. Not really of all time, but I'll have a great prediction. So, if you have been onto my channel before, you would know I am a huge UFC fan. You know, if you follow my Instagram, go do that right now if you are not followed, But you'll see that every now and then I'll post about UFC fights and stuff on there. And I'm just a huge fan of UFC. And this weekend of me recording this and me releasing this is the fight between Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway. Now, I've seen all the MMA YouTubers, I've seen all of them, do their breakdowns and who they think is gonna win, and they're all saying Max is gonna win. Now, you see, I am a Charles Glazer, and I have to defend my boy, and I have to say that I believe he is going to win, and I'm going to show you why I believe he's going to win. If you watch the UFC, hopefully I change your mind about, if you think Max is going to win, hopefully I change it. I think the only person I've seen pick Charles is, I believe, MMA Che, and also, I think Kenny Okoye. Not sure, I don't really watch Kenny too much, but I'm going to try to convince you and lay out the facts of why I think Charles Oliveira not only has a chance of winning, I think he is going to win. I believe he's going to win. And as you can see in the background, I'm playing UFC 5. This is an over voice, so I don't know how good I'm doing in the game actually. Hopefully I'm doing okay. I haven't played since my series ended. If you haven't seen the series yet, go check that out. I didn't do the best with my character that I could have. Maybe I'll run it back, do a second series on it. But reason number one why I think Charles Oliveira beats Max Holloway, and it's really simple. It's really simple. Max Holloway has not faced any grapplers. Now look, you can go in the comments, type down, oh, he fought against Brian Ortega. Really? Okay, let's be honest here. Yes, Brian Ortega, mainly a grappler. He is not nearly on the level of Charles Oliveira. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. Charles Oliveira has better jiu-jitsu, better submissions, better wrestling, and he's a better striker than Brian Ortega. He has more power than Brian Ortega. He is better. He is better in every way than Brian Ortega. Other than Brian Ortega, he hasn't fought any other grapplers. He fought Ilia Topuria, who, yes, Ilia started out as a grappler, but now in the UFC, he is mainly a striker, and in their fight, he barely tried to grapple with Max. And he's fought Alexander Volkanovski. Yes, Alexander Volkanovski is a great offensive wrestler, but he is mainly a striker. He is not some kind of mostly grappler. He has no submissions also. That's another thing. The only person that Max Holloway has fought that has real submission ability has been Brian Ortega. Other than that, he's only fought strikers. Dustin Poirier. Yes, Dustin Poirier is a black belt. He has some submissions, but Dustin Poirier obviously is mostly a boxer. So, Dustin Poirier, Ilia Topuria, Justin Gaethje, Korean Zombie, Arnold Allen, Yair Rodriguez, Calvin Kattar, all these people are strikers, okay? All of these people are strikers. The only real grappler that he faced was Brian Ortega. And again, you cannot compare Brian Ortega, even though he was in his prime, and Brian Ortega, he was great in his prime. It's still not even close to being as good as Charles Oliveira, okay? So that's my first reason. He's never really faced any real grappling competition other than Brian Ortega. And I think even in that fight, he got taken down by Brian Ortega. And again, Brian Ortega is not as good of a wrestler as Max Holloway. I'll have to fact check myself on that and rewatch the fight, but I'll write it down somewhere with an edit or something. Second reason is Charles Oliveira's chin. I believe it'll still hold up. And I know. Wait. He just got chinned by Ilia Topuria. Oh, he got chinned by Ilia Topuria. It's not like everyone else has also been chinned by Ilia Topuria. Yes, I know it was fast, but Ilia Topuria has knocked out everyone. He's knocked out everyone. The only person that really survived his knockout power was Josh Emmett, and he looked completely messed up. And again, this is Ilia Topuria in a higher weight class. He showed crazy power in that fight. But other than that fight, yes, he gets rocked. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that he has some crazy chin, but his recoverability allows him to be fine in those situations. He's able to recover. He's able to go on his back and be fine, other than the Islam Makhachev fight. But you know, that's not the same as Max Holloway, because Max Holloway isn't just gonna, you know, rock him and then jump on a submission and get Charles Oliveira on that. All in all, I think his chin will hold up. Yes, Max has more power inside of the lightweight division, obviously. You know, he knocked out Justin Gaethje. He clipped Dustin Poirier in the first round, but I don't think he has the type of power that people are, you know, saying like, oh, he's gonna knock out Charles in the first, second, third round. I don't think so. I don't think he has that type of power where he's just gonna boom, knock him out of nowhere, when the only person who has been able to do that in the last however many years, or I don't even think anyone, you know, I think, you know, I've talked about Charles Oliveira in my past videos. I don't think anyone's actually knocked him out. Like, you know, he's been TKO'd before, but up until Ilia Topuria, no one had really knocked him out. So maybe, you know, Max could get a TKO, but even then, I just don't see it happening. I don't see a TKO happening. The last time he lost by KO before Ilia Topuria was back in 2017. 2017 was the last time that he lost by a KO before he went on his huge win streak. And again, Ilia Topuria's power is different. You can't equate Ilia Topuria's power to Max Holloway's. Yes, Max has more power in here in this division, but it's not the same. So I think his chin will hold up and he'll be able to recover. I think he'll get dropped in the fight, but I think he'll be okay. It'll be kind of like, you know, his fights against Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. Which that brings me to my third reason for thinking that Oliveira could win. He has faced similar types of competition and had similar performances to Max Holloway. If you look back, yes, Max Holloway completely dominated Justin Gaethje and knocked him out at the end. You know, he got dropped once, but other than that, you know, he basically shut him out. Charles Oliveira had a better Gaethje, you know, a younger Gaethje in his prime, dropped him, you know, and Justin Gaethje said that's the hardest punch he's ever felt. He dropped him, subbed him, first round. And then, you know, bring up the Max Holloway. Yes, Max Holloway again. He dominated Dustin Poirier. You know, I think 4-1 was my score at the end of that fight. I'm not sure. I would have to like rewatch it, but I'm pretty sure it was 4-1. Just like the Justin Gaethje fight. He did that. It was amazing. It was great. Again, this is an older Dustin Poirier. Charles Oliveira fought Dustin Poirier in his prime, subbed him in the third round. He finished both of these fighters in a faster time than Max Holloway. And yes, he got clipped in both of those fights. You know, he got hit more with more powerful shots than Max Holloway. He was getting clipped. But still, he's had pretty close type of performances, just like Max Holloway. Another one is Arman Tsarukyan. He fought him, lost by split decision. It was a super close fight. That's Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan is by far the best grappler inside of the lightweight division right now, and he barely lost that decision by a hair. And we've seen Arman go out there and, you know, not only in the UFC but outside of the UFC and show his grappling prowess, show how good he is in the grappling, and he almost got subbed by Charles in the first round. And you're saying that Charles can't make something happen against Max Holloway where he gets him in the guillotine or gets him, you know, gets on his back and chokes him out, when he almost subbed Arman Tsarukyan in the first round? I don't know. You know, and he just subbed Mateusz Gamrot. That's another great win. Yes, it was on short notice. Okay, yes, like that dulls it down a little bit, but still, Mateusz Gamrot is again one of the better grapplers inside of the division, one of the best grapplers inside of the division. Mateusz Gamrot was able to out grapple Arman Tsarukyan. Yes, I thought Arman should have won that fight, but it was super close though. It was very close, and he was grappling right there with Arman Tsarukyan, you know, grapple for grapple. Grapple for grapple. He just got subbed in 2 rounds against Oliveira. Oliveira walked through his shots, picked him up, subbed him. Now, that takes me to my next point. Charles is super strong when he gets to the clinch and the takedowns. Again, I said that Charles is a better wrestler than Ortega. Charles is really good at wrestling. You know, recently he's been doing really good work with his wrestling. He is shown to be super strong in any grappling position. If you watch the Ilia fight, even in those like positions, yes, Ilia was able to like reverse the takedown and get on top. But when they get on the feet, you can see him being able to push Ilya away easily against the fence. Like, he was showing the strength disparity between them two. And like, again, yes, Ilya slept him. I know. But again, Max Holloway doesn't have the same power as Ilya. And again, he doesn't have the same grappling experience as Ilya either. You know, Ilya got caught in a heel hook right after he got in. You know, people will talk about Ilya getting the crucifix. He got caught in a heel hook literally like a few seconds after he got that crucifix against Charles Oliveira. He had to escape really fast, or else he would have got. Again, Ilya has an extensive grappling background before he got into the UFC. Then again, Mateusz Gamrot subbed him. Arman Tsarukyan almost subbed him in the first round. If there was more time in the third round, who knows what could have happened against Arman Tsarukyan for that third round when he got put in the darts. And I even think, I believe, if I remember correctly, in the second round, that he almost got caught inside of a triangle. I don't remember exactly if that happened. Like, I'm pretty sure at the very end of the round, before the bell went off, he was almost inside of a triangle against Charles Oliveira. So I think he was he was in submissions 3 times, once each round. And again, that's Arman Tsarukyan. And you think Charles Oliveira can't overpower Max Holloway inside of like the grappling? Again, when he went against Mateusz Gamrot, he picked him up like nothing. He picked him up. He was super strong against Mateusz Gamrot, who is one of the best wrestlers inside of the division. But you're telling me that Max Holloway is able to defend everything and he's going to be completely fine? I don't think so. And that's another point. Max Holloway, everyone talks about his crazy takedown defense. Against who? All the people he's facing are strikers. Obviously, they're not going to be taking him down. None of them really go through the grappling other than Brian Ortega and Alexander Volkanovski. And again, Alexander Volkanovski mainly struck with him in their fights. So yes, he has great takedown defense against people who are strikers and are not grapplers. Yes, he doesn't get held down too often. When has anyone really tried to hold him down other than Brian Ortega? Sure, Ilya got him down, but it didn't even look like Ilya was trying to really keep it on the ground. It seemed to me like Ilya was just throwing that in so that he could get Max worried about the takedown as a possibility. And another thing is also, you know, Oliveira has power in his hands. You know, we've seen him rock a lot of his opponents. We've seen people talk about how powerful he is. He could hit Max Holloway with something that could stun him a bit, you know, and then that could open up the grappling for him. But all that being said, again, this is either the biggest cope session or, you know, me predicting like crazy Charles Oliveira by submission. One of the first 3 rounds, I'm calling this. One of the first 3 rounds by submission, either a guillotine or a leg lock. That's my final prediction. One of those 2 is going to happen in the first 3 rounds against Max Holloway. That is my prediction. And, you know, I'm really worried. I'm really worried for Oliveira, you know, because Max Holloway has been cooking people since he's moved up. And Max Holloway, I love Max Holloway, by the way. You know, this is, you know, Charles Oliveira, he's my favorite fighter in the UFC. He's the reason why I got into the UFC. You know, his fights, watching his fights and hearing his story was the reason I started watching every single Saturday. And yes, I am kind of coping right now and wanting him to win no matter what. I'm always going to go for my boy. I think he can do it. I mean, if he can put a competitive fight on against Arman Tsarukyan, I know, you know, Arman Tsarukyan, obviously a much different fighter than Max Holloway. You know, he's primarily a grappler. But, you know, Arman Tsarukyan, again, I think him and Max Holloway are relatively the same type of level of fighter. But the difference is Arman has the grappling to protect him from Charles. And even then, he almost got subbed again. First round. So, like, I'm really taking that into consideration because I feel like people don't really acknowledge that enough anymore. I feel like when it happened, people were going crazy about that. But ever since then, no one has really brought it up, especially with this fight. Like, he almost subbed Arman. He subbed Mateusz Gamrot. These are 2 of the best grapplers in the division. So I'm just saying. I think he could definitely pull it off with his strength in the grappling department. I think he could get Max against the fence. It really depends. But, man, I really hope Charles wins. He is who I'm going for. If you're watching the video, don't place a bet based on what I'm saying right now, okay? That's all I'm going to say. I believe in my boy, but it's a really close fight, so I would not say to bet from my opinion. But with that being said, hope you all enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments who you think is going to win. You know, give me any counterpoints to anything I've said. I'll respond. I'll argue with you. But until next time. Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Herb Dean has called a stop to this contest at 4 minutes, 47 seconds of round number 3. Declaring the winner by submission due to a Darce choke, and still the undisputed UFC lightweight champion of the world, Charles the Bronx